The day my own children closed the door in my face and told me I was no longer welcome in their home, I didn't cry. I stood on the porch with my small suitcase, looked at my son and daughter whom I had carried in my body, raised with my hands, and loved with every breath I ever took, and I smiled. Not because I was happy, but because in that moment I finally understood. I had spent 45 years giving them everything I had, and they had decided I was now worth nothing. That was 6 years ago. 6 years since my family rejected their own mother and grandmother. 6 years since I became a stranger to my own blood. This is the story of how I lost my children. And how, in losing them, I finally found myself. My name is Evelyn. Everyone calls me Evie. I am 75 years old. I raised 3 children alone after my husband Robert died of a heart attack when I was only 42. Alexander, Alex, my eldest, serious and responsible. Victoria, Tori, my middle child, fiery and independent. Benjamin, Ben, my youngest, the gentle one, the peacemaker. I gave them everything. I worked 2 jobs so they could have piano lessons, soccer cleats, college tuition. I stayed up all night sewing costumes, baking cookies for school sales, driving them to practices. I never remarried. I never traveled. I never bought anything for myself that wasn't absolutely necessary. My entire life was them. My entire identity was mom. And for decades, it was enough. When the grandchildren came, I became Nana Evie. I was at every birth. I was the emergency babysitter, the homemade soup deliverer, the keeper of traditions. I was the one who showed up. Always. I thought that kind of love was unbreakable. I thought blood was thicker than anything. I thought if you give your children everything, they will never turn their back on you. I was wrong. The first crack appeared when I was 68. Alex and his wife Laura had just had their 3rd child. I was helping every day, cooking, cleaning, watching the older kids so Laura could rest. One afternoon, I made a comment about how the baby seemed fussy after Laura fed him from a bottle I had warmed. I said gently, maybe he's getting too much air? In my day, we burped them more often. Laura's face changed. She took the baby from my arms and said, "We're doing fine, Evelyn. We don't need advice from 40 years ago." I was stunned. I apologized immediately. "I'm sorry, sweetheart. I was only trying to help." But the damage was done. After that, the visits became shorter. The invitations became fewer. They started using a paid nanny instead of calling me. When I offered to help, Laura would say, "We've got it covered, Evelyn. You've done enough. Done enough." As if love has an expiration date. Then Tori got married to Michael, a man who never liked me. He thought I was too involved. He wanted Tori to cut the umbilical cord, as he put it. Slowly, the Sunday dinners stopped. The phone calls became texts. The texts became nothing. Ben was the last one. My gentle Ben. He and his wife Sarah lived closest to me. I saw them the most. Until Sarah got pregnant and suddenly my old-fashioned ways became toxic. I once said to Sarah, "Are you sure you want to go back to work so soon after the baby? He'll only be little once." She lost it. She accused me of judging her, of thinking she was a bad mother, of trying to control her life. Ben just stood there and let her say it all. That night, he called me. "Mom, we need space. Sarah's hormones are all over the place. She's overwhelmed. Maybe just give us a few months. A few months turned into a year. Then 2. By the time I was 72, I was completely alone. My children had formed their own families, and I was no longer part of them. The final moment came on Christmas Eve, 6 years ago. I had spent weeks preparing. I cooked everyone's favorite dishes. I bought thoughtful gifts. I decorated my house beautifully. I invited all 3 families for Christmas dinner, the first time in 4 years we would all be together. Alex texted, "We're doing Christmas at home this year. The kids are too little to travel." Tori texted, "Michael's family is having a big thing. Maybe next year." Ben called, "Sarah's not feeling well. We're just going to stay home." "Sorry, Mom." I sat at my dining table set for 12, completely alone. The food went cold. The presents stayed wrapped. The tree lights blinked on an empty room. That night, I packed a small suitcase and drove to Ben's house. I told myself I just wanted to drop off the gifts. But really, I was desperate. I needed to see my grandchildren. I needed to know I still mattered to someone. Sarah opened the door. She was in pajamas, clearly not sick. The house was full of laughter and music and family. I stood on the porch holding bags of presents and food I had cooked. "Merry Christmas," I said, trying to smile. I brought gifts and some food. I thought maybe. Sarah's face hardened. "Evelyn, we told you we weren't doing anything. This isn't a good time." Ben appeared behind her. "Mom, please. Just go home." "But I made all this food. And the gifts." "We don't need it," Sarah said. "We don't need you showing up uninvited. We asked for space. This is what space looks like." Ben looked at the ground. He wouldn't meet my eyes. I felt something break inside me. Not dramatically. Just quietly. Like ice cracking on a lake. "Okay," I said softly. "I understand now." I left the bags on the porch and walked back to my car. I didn't cry until I was halfway home. That was the last time I tried. For the first year, I waited. I thought they would call. I thought they would miss me. I thought blood would win. They didn't call. Not on my birthday. Not on Mother's Day. Not even when I had a small stroke and was in the hospital for 3 days. My neighbor Mrs. Lopez found me on the floor and called the ambulance. When I woke up in the hospital, I asked her to call my children. She did. None of them came. That was when I stopped waiting. I sold my big house, the one full of memories and empty rooms, and bought a small cottage by the lake. I joined a senior art class. I started volunteering at the animal shelter. I made friends who had nothing to do with my children. I learned to cook for one. I learned to travel alone, took a cruise to Alaska, something I'd always wanted to do. I learned that silence can be peaceful instead of painful. I became Evie. Not Mom. Not Nana. Just Evie. A woman with her own life. Her own friends. Her own joy. My children heard about my new life through the small-town grapevine. They didn't like it. Alex called first. "Mom, Mrs. Lopez says you sold the house? And you're dating someone?" "His name is Harold," I said calmly. "He's a widower. We take painting classes together." He makes me laugh. Silence. Then Tori, you're acting like you don't even have a family. I do have a family, I said. I just don't have children who want me in their lives. So I built a new one. Ben came to visit. He stood in my cottage looking lost. Mom, this isn't right. You're supposed to be with us. I said. For 45 years. I was exactly where you wanted me. And then you told me I was no longer welcome. So I left. And I found out something, Ben. What? That I like my life now. I like waking up without waiting for phone calls that never come. I like having friends who choose to be with me every day, not just when it's convenient. I like being Evie instead of just your mother. He started crying. We didn't mean to hurt you. We just needed space. You needed space for 6 years? You needed space when I was in the hospital? You needed space on Christmas? He had no answer. It's been 6 years since they closed that door in my face. I see my grandchildren sometimes, at the grocery store, at school events. They stare at me like I'm a stranger. Because to them, I am. My children have tried to come back. They want the old mom back. The one who was always available. The one who lived for them. But that woman doesn't exist anymore. I am Evie now. I have a full life. I have Harold, who loves me for who I am today, not who I used to be. I have friends who call me just to chat. I have a garden and a dog and art on my walls that I painted myself. I am happy. Sometimes Alex calls and asks if he can bring the kids over. I say yes. We have polite visits. Surface conversations. I give them cookies and hugs and send them home. I love my grandchildren. I always will. But I no longer live for the hope that my children will love me again. Because I learned something they haven't yet. Love that has to be earned by erasing yourself isn't love. It's servitude. I gave my children everything I had. And when I had nothing left to give, they decided I had nothing left to offer. So I took what was left, my time, my heart, my life, and I gave it to myself. I am 75 years old. I am alive. I am happy. I am free. And if my children ever truly want me back, they will have to meet me where I am now. Not where I was. They will have to love Evie. Not just the mother who existed only for them. Until then, I wish them well. I hope they're happy. I hope they teach their children what family really means. And I hope, one day, they understand what they lost. Because I do. I understand now. I lost my children. But I found myself. And that, in the end, was the greater gift. Because a woman who knows her own worth can never truly be rejected. She can only choose who is worthy of her love. And I finally chose myself.